Hello, everybody. Welcome once again to Old and Bitter. Three old guys just sitting up here complaining. As always, we got Ricky, Scott, and I'm John. We'll be bringing you some stuff tonight on Old and Bitter, episode number 6. And thanks. We want to give a shout out to all our listeners as we climb up the podcast ranks. So thanks for all of that.
We actually did that?
Yeah, we did that. I got an email yesterday from a guy on a podcast thing. He said, hey, you guys are climbing up the ranks. I'm like, all right, let's just keep this thing going. We got a bunch of stuff we're going to talk about tonight. But first, I want to just kind of get you guys' take on this. But first, before we do anything, Scotty, how are you tonight?
Doing well, thank you.
Ricky?
Fantastic.
Great. All right, so past couple of days, I've heard stuff on the radio back and forth, just things about basketball, okay, whether it be men's or women's. And I'm listening, and I was talking to a friend of mine, and he's like, well, the WNBA is just, it's not that type of basketball like the guys play. And I'm going to be honest right now, these girls can hoop. We kind of got
they're physical too.
We kind of got in a little bit of a heated argument because he's just like, he's an old school ball, and he's like, man, it's just not the same. It's not this, it's not that. And I said the only difference between the NBA and the WNBA right now is that you're not going to see as many dunks as you would in an NBA game as a WNBA game. I'm a huge Fever fan. I love Caitlin Clark. I love that whole team. I love how they're coached. I like all the players. I'm watching the Sparks and the Fever last night, and they are up and down, hitting threes left and right. I mean, I think for the first 5 or 6 possessions, each team didn't miss a shot. Sophie Cunningham comes out, hits 2 threes.
Three in a row.
Yeah, and then their team's loaded. They're fun to watch. Kelsey Plum was on fire. I went to bed and didn't get a chance to finish the game, but Sparks came back and won. But I was watching the Fever. They were up for a while. But anyone who doubts that these girls are not professional players, I don't know what you're watching.
Yeah,
I just don't. And I think you need to either really look at what basketball is, because these girls are hooping and they're playing and they play great and they are fun to watch. I mean, even if the Fever aren't playing, if it's just another game, I'll turn it on just to watch it because, one, I love basketball, and two, I mean, it doesn't matter. If it's a basketball game, I'm going to watch it.
Can I throw in a difference I see in the two? And I don't know if you noticed this or not, John, but it seems like in the W, you can see more plays develop. Like you can watch and you can see the play. I don't know, the guys maybe it's just too fast for my mind to keep up with it and process it or whatever. But in the W, it seems like you can almost like pick out the play and kind of watch the play develop. What do you think?
No, I agree 100% because, it's funny because I was watching last night. I mean, Kelsey Mitchell for the Fever, man, she was throwing dimes on these pick and rolls and these cuts and these back doors. And it's just like, it's almost like when you're watching the guys play in the NBA. Yes, I know they have offensive sets, but it's always, I'm going to come set a pick for you. All right, let's see what you can do. And you watch the girls play, and I agree with you 100%. These girls, they're running plays. I mean, to me, it's as much fun to watch as it is to watch any basketball game.
And if anybody says they are not physical, they have not watched a ball game.
Nope. Sophie Cunningham will knock you on the ground. She'll look at you, and then she'll walk over you and say, hey, nothing. I'm not saying nothing. She's a baller. Great players are in the WNBA. If you haven't watched the game, do yourself a favor, watch a game. So we're going to send things over to Scotty tonight. Scotty's got something he wants to kick off. Scotty, you wrote down something today you wanted to talk about. So let's, why don't you tell the audience what we're going to kick things off with?
Okay. I guess we were batting around a few ideas today. Let's go with the celebrity one. Have you guys had a brush or an encounter with some type of celebrity or someone that other people would know from any kind of industry, entertainment, sports? Have you encountered anybody out there that you would say, and that you remember, like, oh, that was memorable, I ran into that person? I'll kick it off. I'll tell you one. Used to live back in Indiana before we moved down here to Texas. Down in Indianapolis one time, coming down an elevator, and Dick Vitale's on the elevator. He is a tennis fan. Both his girls played tennis, I believe, at Notre Dame. They used to have this tournament in Indianapolis. I think it was called the RCA Tennis Championships or whatever. So it was in August. They were there for the RCA Championships. I'm talking to him. in the elevator. Nicest guy. Told him I was a Purdue Boilermaker. So he starts talking about Gene Cady and Bobby Knight and saying, he hopes that I appreciate some of those matchups because that's what basketball is supposed to be about and on. And he could have easily brushed me off, not said a word to me. He's there. He's watching tennis. He's probably with his family, whatever. But nice guy in the elevator. So, have you guys had an encounter?
Well, before we move on, why don't you tell some of our listeners, because they might not even know who Dick Vitale is. Do you know who Dick Vitale is, Ricky?
Not a clue.
So, yeah, you might want to tell them who Dick Vitale is before we go throwing out, hey, it's a celebrity. Yeah, I have no idea who that guy is.
And Ricky John will throw out a bunch of basketball players here in a minute
that's okay.
I haven't heard of either. But that's okay. We'll learn about him, right?
Yeah.
No, Dick Vitale, former basketball coach, former collegiate coach, longtime broadcaster on ESPN. I think he was on one of the first ESPN broadcasts of basketball. He's older now. He's big with the Jimmy V Foundation. Jim Valvano was a friend of his, a coach, died of cancer, raising a bunch of money for cancer research. Dickie V struggled, had a couple bouts with it himself. But anyway, just the nicest guy in the elevator.
That sounds awesome.
So I guess maybe we have to identify some of these. But yeah, that would be one of mine because he could have been rude. He could have said nothing. He could have, whatever. That's why I like when you're watching a golf tournament or something when it's over and the golfer that walks off and takes the time to high five the kids or sign something for them when they stick it out there instead of just, looking straight ahead and just buzzing out of there. Who have you run into that's kind of taking the time with you, if you will? Or maybe it's just a brush or an encounter.
Yeah, I think, too, one thing to mention, too, about Dickie V. Dickie V was one of the greatest college basketball sports announcers ever.
He's still calling a few games.
Yeah, to this day, he's just one of the best. ESPN struck gold with him because I know he coached the Pistons in the NBA for a little bit. I think Detroit University. I'm not 100% sure.
Up in Michigan. Yep.
But just a great guy, and just fun to listen to the whole time. For me, man, it's like, for me, I ran into a bunch of old basketball players like a lot of people wouldn't know. Like Calvin Nat, he used to be a Trailblazer. I used to work out with him at a club. I was there when he got traded to the Nuggets and talked to him and told him I was upset about it, and he was too. Glenn Morshower, who was my acting coach, who's been in so many movies. He was on the series 24. He's been on The Resident. He's been in every Transformer movie as the General.
Wow.
He does voiceover work for video games. Great acting teacher. Learned so much from him. Trying to think who else.
And Glenn would know you by name. Dickie V doesn't know me. So that's more points for John.
He didn't know me at first, but to take his class and learn from him.
Right.
It was one of those things. Man, I don't know. Jessica Chastain. Okay, no, never mind. That was something I wanted to happen, but never saw her or met her. But would love to do a film with her. She's amazing. I don't know, man. I don't have that many that anybody else would know. What about you, Ricky?
Yeah, I don't know if anybody will know this one or not. And anyway, when I was in high school, I went to high school with Clark Duke. So he's the actor. He was in Hot Tub Time Machine. He was in The Office, like the last season or two of The Office. He was the one that looked like Dwight Jr. He played him. And I met him like once. Met him at school, was waiting outside for my grandpa to come pick me up from the high school dance, and I borrowed his phone to call my grandpa. That's been about it.
Nice.
So would he know me by name? I don't know. Probably not. Maybe. I don't know. Because we went to high school. It's a really small town. It's like 2,100 people there.
Yeah.
So everybody knows everyone. Everybody knew Clark, but Clark also knew everybody else. So it wasn't like because he was a celebrity or anything. But
I ran into Judd Nelson from Beverly Hills Cop, the original one, and from Fast Times at Ridgemont High with Sean Penn back in the day. Super nice guy. That's probably it. I just don't, Oh, well, Scott and I were talking about this too. I saw Carmen Electra For those of you who don't know, she was a Baywatch babe, and she was a lifeguard on that show Baywatch, I think. Saw her and ran into her in Palm Springs. She waved to me and said, "Hi, John." No, she didn't.
She was with
I
Jessica
thought she
Chastain.
did, but it was my mom going, "Hey, it's time to go now." So yeah, no, not really. And I think too, it's like kind of like where we are. It's, maybe if we're in California or New York or Chicago,
Right.
Atlanta, it might be more prevalent to run into some of these mega superstars kind of thing like that. But
Do you guys know who Clay Walker is?
the country western singer.
Country singer?
I've heard of him.
Do you
Yeah.
know- have you heard the songs, Ricky? Then What? This Woman and This Man, Live Until I Die. Anyway, country music singer,
Maybe.
big in the 90s, has continued recording some throughout the 2000s, whatever. Anyway, a colleague of ours, Cree, in the PE office, she is his aunt by marriage.
Really?
So a few years ago, Clay was playing at one of the casinos right on the border of Texas and Oklahoma up there. And she's like, "Hey, why don't you and Diane go up there with her and her husband?" So the four of us went up there, and he's in the middle of his set, and he's doing all these songs. And my wife didn't really know exactly what we were going to see. And then she's like, "Oh, I know this one. I know this one." I mean, he's had a lot of the, top 10, number one songs that on the country charts and stuff.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden he just stops and he goes, "Hey, I understand I got a family member out there. Aunt Cree, where you at?" And the spotlight shines down and she's jumping up and down and going nuts and stuff. And anyway, after the concert, this guy comes back and he goes, "Hey, why don't you four follow me?" So we go backstage and we're winding through where the food is and all that stuff. And he's like, "Clay wants to see you up on his tour bus."
Yeah.
So it's just the four of us, concert's over, whatever. So a little bit of time. I mean, he's already changed. He's got shorts on. He's got a ball cap on. He's got a T-shirt on.
Yeah.
And he opens the door of the tour bus and he's like, "Hey, guys, come on in." And we walk in and there's this little itty bitty dog yapping and, the dog's peeing right in the doorway. And I mean, he's just the most down to earth guy. He's like, yeah, just singing for all those people. And here I am, cleaning up all this dog stuff right in front of you guys. And he's apologizing, got us some beers. And we sat there and, I mean, we probably drank 2-3 beers, just sat there talking to him. So I guess that would be one for me. That was fun. That was a fun night.
And that's awesome.
Definitely, that is awesome.
Heck yeah.
Clay Walker, country singer.
Yep.
Yeah.
I've heard his name. I don't know his music, but I've heard his name.
I was going to say, I've heard of him, and I'm sure I've heard some of his songs, but I just can't think of...
He's talking about his ranch in East Texas and just, I don't know. It was fun. It was a lot of fun.
That's awesome. What else you got?
So, people like that, I guess, I've got a question for you, John. If you haven't maybe run into some of these people, but if you could invite 3-4 people, it's that question about like who's coming to dinner.
4 people you'd invite to dinner?
Yeah. Let's say living.
Living?
4 people living. We're not going all the way back. 4 people living right now. I guess Jessica Chastain is going to be one of them based on the earlier
and
comment.
I pick the other 3 out. It would just be Miss Jessica Chastain, Helen Mirren, Natalie Portman, and myself having wine and cheese.
No, but who would you want to hang with and why?
4 people over for dinner?
Yeah.
Oh, well, totally. First of all, Jessica Chastain for sure. But I would have Denzel Washington.
Oh.
I would have Michael Jordan. And it would be a toss-up between... there's so many of them. It's like, I'd definitely throw Morgan Freeman in there if I could. Or... I think if I was going to have like a serious one, like people that non-athletes, I would have Jessica Chastain, I'd have Morgan Freeman, Denzel Washington, and probably Helen Mirren. And if I was going to do a sports one, I'd have Shaq, I'd have Charles Barkley, I'd have Michael Jordan, and I'd probably have Anthony Rizzo from the Cubs because... We are Cubs fans here. That would be my 4. If I had like dinner with non-athletes and athletes, I'd have to break it down that way. What about you, Ricky?
Let's see. So I'm more of a music guy. So I think I'd have Rick Beato. He's the producer for like several albums. He's well known on YouTube. He's got several million followers there on YouTube. But I'd love to just pick his brain because he's got such an extensive knowledge base. Let's see. like Jordan Peterson. Y'all familiar with Jordan Peterson? He's like a psychologist. He's really big on YouTube. Most of the people I'm going to talk about is really big on YouTube. But I'm interested in picking these people's brains. So, and then the lead singer of Thrice, his name's Dustin Kinshrew. He's a really great songwriter.
What is that the group Thrice? Is that what they're called? Mm-hmm. What kind of music?
They're rock, and their older stuff was more like screamo, but they've really progressed into just this very eclectic sound that, I mean, he doesn't scream a lot anymore. He's really got this awesome voice, and a lot of his lyrics and everything are just really well put together. And then country music, well, he's labeled under country, but he's not really. Rustin Kelly, he's also one of my favorite songwriters. He kind of got me through my divorce, so I'd love to just pick his brain. And all these people, I don't know if they'd get together or not, but it'd be really cool to see their personalities mesh.
Yeah. So and learning about some personalities here with who you guys would pick.
Yeah.
So Ricky, you're doing it more because you want to learn from these people.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to learn from their experiences and from where they've been and their ideologies and everything else. I'm not one of these people who's very starstruck.
Right.
I've never been much of a fan of anybody. I can appreciate their work and their talent, but really I want to understand who the person is behind that work and behind that talent, and kind of understand where that comes from. Because
drive, motivation.
Well, yeah, I feel like, especially when it comes to music and just about anything we do, it's an expression of who we are. And, it's an expression of where we've been. That's just like when you paint or when you write or anything else. We take all those experiences and all these ideologies and philosophies and everything that we've done, and we distill it down into one thing that we're producing here. And that's kind of how songs come about. That's how music's written. That's how, all of these things are expressions of life lived, or life that we want to live.
Right.
And even that is an expression of life that we've lived.
It's funny because I'm sitting there listening to you say that, and I'm the same way. I don't get starstruck. I don't like, oh, so-and-so's over there, and everybody runs and they've got to take their pictures and all that stuff. To me, it's just like,
I don't care.
Hey, you know what? They're a person.
You bet.
They eat like we do. They breathe air like we do. You can be fond of them, but it's like, and I get it. I mean, they're fans and all that stuff. That's great.
Yeah.
I'm just not that way. I joke about Jessica Chastain, but I mean, to me, she's one of the most incredible actresses we have today. Mm-hmm. And, she's extremely beautiful, just a great person. And it's just like, I'm like, I'd like to just like pick her brain and talk to her as a person, not as an actress, or not, same thing with Morgan Freeman. I mean, I love that guy to death. He's truly one of my favorite actors. He and Denzel, I would just like to just sit down and talk to them about life, not about acting, not about, hey, this movie, hey, I loved you in here, or, I love this movie, because they probably get that all the time. Yeah. I'd be like to go, hey, so what do you like to do on a Sunday when you're not shooting, or
right.
What are some of your hobbies you like to do, and really find the true person, because I don't think people really ask them that.
I want to get to know these people.
Exactly, right. Exactly.
Behind all the success, there's been a ton of failures.
Oh, absolutely.
Like when they have not succeeded, what's made them keep going? That kind of thing.
And maybe even their definition of success, from like what we see, we see that they're successful, but their definition of success may be completely different than ours.
Right.
Maybe they do something and everyone knows them and everything, but maybe their definition of success is being able to do something on the weekend by themselves.
Mm-hmm. It's like Michael Jordan said, he'd like to be a normal person for one day.
Right.
And not be Michael Jordan for one day.
Right.
Because it's just like everybody hounding him and wanting autographs and, want this or want to take pictures, and his privacy. And understandably, that's part of the nature of the game. When you become a professional athlete, is you have this fandom where people want to follow you, they want your autographs and all that other stuff. But you see, like, with these paparazzis, they get right in these people's face. And how would you not get upset if you're sitting there with your wife and your child, and this camera comes in your face and they want to ask you questions? I mean, and they get in trouble because they're putting their hands on the camera. It's like, hey, you know what? leave my family alone. Can we
Right.
just have a normal dinner? But at the same time, people argue, but you put yourself in that limelight, which they really don't. It's just you as fans put them in that limelight. Yes, they're an actor. Yes, you see them on TV. You see them on a movie. But they're just like us. They want to go to the movies with their family. They want to take their kids to dinner. They want to have dinner with their wife and not have 75,000 cameras. That's like, I can't remember where we were, but we there was, who was it? It might have been Dirk one night. He was in a restaurant or something, Dirk Nowitzki, and everyone's just like, looking at me, and you just kind of just look and, just, oh, there he is.
Mm-hmm.
He's tall, but, it's just like he's sitting there having dinner, and it's just like,
let the man have dinner.
Yes,
Just leave him alone, man.
Yeah. But I mean, it's a double-edged sword, just like you said. It's like, you want to find out about them. You'd love to sit and talk to them. But at the same time, you've got all these other people that are going to ask just crazy questions. And, hey, can I get a selfie? Hey, this, can I do that? I mean, I saw John Cena the other day. He was sitting having lunch with his friends, and these people came up and started taking pictures. And he just looked and said, hey, do you mind? I'd like to have lunch with my friends.
Right.
And people don't respect that. And they think because they're a celebrity that they're off, there's an exception to the rule because they're a celebrity that we can take their pictures.
Yeah.
And it's not that way.
And every breathing moment they have in public is recorded.
Absolutely.
So they're constantly on, and that's got to be frustrating at times or overwhelming. One thing that you will notice with a lot of them, though, their kids aren't in the limelight. They do a good job of sheltering and protecting their kids and their families. So, John, someone on your list that, or someone I was surprised was not on your list, a funny man. Where's the Chris Farleys?
I talked about
where's
that.
the Belushis, the Farleys, the physical comedy actors?
But see, that's why it's so hard to narrow it down to just four.
Well, you have a small table.
Yeah. Well, then I'd kick out those two chairs, and like I said, Jessica Chastain and I would just have nice pasta dinner. I mean, you how do you not throw John Belushi in there? For those of you young people, he was a great comedic actor.
But we did say alive.
Yeah.
We did
say alive. I think that's why Belushi
and Chris
Farley's not in there.
Yeah. Good point. What about you, Scotty? Who are yours?
I'd probably start with Tony Dungy. Do you know Tony Dungy, Ricky?
No.
Tony Dungy was coach of the Indianapolis Colts, first African American coach to win a Super Bowl.
Okay.
As coach, he also won as a player when he was with the Pittsburgh Steelers, with Terry Bradshaw in that group in the 70s. But just a quiet leader. I'm a quiet person. I gravitate more towards quiet people.
A quiet person, you?
Listen to the guy laughing over here. Yes.
Oh my goodness gracious,
More
folks.
of an introvert at times, and he's got a book called Quiet Strength.
Yeah.
That I've read about leadership and things, and I don't know. I think that would be someone just like you said. Pick his brain.
Yeah.
His struggles. His he lost a child. His struggles being African American. He's listed some things about that in the book and some of those struggles. But just to have that quiet strength to keep going and keep doing, and the success he had. And then there's people that rip him because they think with the talent the Colts had, they should have had more than one Super Bowl and all that. But I would think Tony Dungy would be one that I would like to sit down with. I guess we're in the acting area. I'll go Melissa McCarthy.
Okay.
Great call.
She is hilarious. Anything she's in, how do you not laugh?
I tell you what, if you haven't, you need to Google, or actually YouTube, This Is 40 movie bloopers with Melissa McCartney and Paul Rudd and Ashley Mann when they're talking to the principal. It is the most hysterical thing because they just let her go.
Yeah.
And she's got them just cracking up. I don't know how you could keep a straight face with her. She is so funny.
And another one I'd throw in there, just because the life lived and everything, I'd probably have to throw Willie Nelson in there.
Oh, yeah. I could see that for sure, man.
From, struggles, not fitting into mainstream, Nashville, going to Austin, doing his own thing, quitting music for a while, then coming back to it, then getting into, him and Waylon Jennings starting like the outlaw music scene, and then I don't know, the Johnny Cash and Chris Christopherson stories, and
Right.
the IRS, the tax evasion, whatever, the marijuana, whatever you want to get into.
He's got a lot of it.
He's one of the coach.
He's got a lot of it.
Marijuana, my gosh!
He's
Come
one
on
of
over.
one of the co-chairs of an organization. I don't know what the acronym actually stands for. It's NORMAL, but it's basically normalizing marijuana use or whatever, and not being a proponent of marijuana. But I'm just saying there'd be so many different things to talk to with that guy.
Sure.
And picking his brain, and life. How do you bounce around and do all those things and just keep going and things? I don't know.
What about if you could have two people who are not living and go back and have dinner with them? Who would you choose?
Wait, how far back are we going?
You can go back as far as you want.
As far as you want.
We're talking two people.
Would it be wrong to say like Marilyn Monroe and John F. Kennedy?
Together?
Yeah, no, I mean seriously. I mean, I just think. I mean,
That'd make for an interesting dinner date.
wouldn't it though? I mean, it really would. I mean, then you can throw Chris Farley and John Belushi. That would be
Yeah.
But yeah,
You probably wouldn't even eat. You'd be sitting there laughing the whole time. So it's got to be. Who would it be? Who would your two be, Ricky?
trying to think, man. Let's see.
Farrah Fawcett. Do you know who Farrah Fawcett is?
Yeah, I know. Very
Okay.
awesome.
Ricky's not as old as us, Scott and I. So like,
I'll jump here and throw a couple in there, a pairing, if you will. Thinking Cold War. I like reading about presidents and things.
Yeah.
I'll throw Ronald Reagan and Gorbachev in there. Have those two around a table.
That would be a good.
Yeah.
Kind of talking things out.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down that wall.
But
That would
a
be
guy
awesome.
who, ran for president, was beat out by Ford for the nomination,
Yeah.
whatever, and then he's two of the most lopsided landslide elections over Carter and over Mondale in 80 and 84. And then, not to mention governor of California, not to mention actor way before that.
Right.
There's Schwarzenegger before Schwarzenegger, right? And so bringing all that in, and if you're saying sit down with two people, having him and Gorbachev sitting there and like having conversations with him, that'd be something.
How about Joe Frazier and Muhammad Ali?
Oh, yeah.
Well, that would be a dinner and a half. Joe Frazier was my favorite boxer growing up as a kid. My dad used to love boxing, and we would always watch boxing because, like back then when I was a kid, it was never you could watch the fights because there was no pay-per-view, there was nothing. It was always just on ABC Wild World of Sports, so you could see championship fights back then. And Joe Frazier was my guy, man. He was truly one of my favorite boxers ever. I think that would be good. I think anybody with John Wayne would be good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're picking
yeah.
pairings that kind of have a similar interest.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be great to sit down with. I mean, think about having dinner with Jesus.
Yeah.
But we did say dead.
Look at that.
True.
So
Once again, Ricky shows why he's the intellectual one of the three of us.
I'm the dumb one, just over here dumb.
But along those same lines, John, what about John Paul II and Mother Teresa?
yeah.
Yeah, I'd feel probably guilty talking to Mother Teresa because it's like she'd know if I was telling the truth or not, and I would just be like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm not telling the truth."
You'd be like,
I'm back in
Calcutta.
confession.
Where is Calcutta?
I'm back in confession. Here I go. And that's and a lot of people, you always talk about stuff like that, but I mean, just to go back and just whatever era it is.
Yeah.
I mean, so many people always say, well, I'd like to have dinner with Abraham Lincoln. How about Lincoln and George Washington if you're going to put two presidents together?
Right.
Or, I mean, do you throw Nixon in a dinner? I mean,
Oh. That would have been interesting.
wouldn't it though?
Yeah.
Like for me, I throw in. I mean,
Yeah.
God, I mean, the sad thing is there's so many to choose from, and that's just sad because there's like so many. We've lost so many great people.
Well, growing up, and I mean, we could all get personal too, right? I mean, I knew one of my 4 grandparents growing up. So I would have, I lost my mom way too early. That was in 2008. My mom and my 3 grandparents, or all 4 of them, are gone. But the 3 I didn't really get a chance to know. I mean, I think all of us could go that route too.
Yeah.
I think it's funny because I think if they said you could have anybody alive or deceased, I would pick my grandpa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just because it's just like, I mean, I remember when I was a kid, we used to sit out on his porch in East Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania. He would get up every morning at 4 a.m., come back at work. He'd work like 3 hours, and he was like in his 70s. So we used to work at a silk mill just around the corner from his house. And he'd start drinking beer like at 10 a.m.
Wow.
And he would like, my Uncle Glenn lived next door to him. The whole 5 houses along the street were all like relatives. And we would, when we were kids, he'd be like, John, give me a beer, I'll give you a quarter. Well, back then, and
You brought 3 beers back.
Yeah.
man, I was like banking. I'm like making $7-8 a day in quarters, and he'd drink like a case, and he's still wide awake. But he'd go to bed like at 7 o'clock. He'd eat dinner. He'd go to bed at 7, and then he'd get up at 4. And it's just he was such a great man, as was my grandmother, and my mom's mom too. But these are on my dad's side. But he always was one to make you laugh,
right?
No matter what you did. I mean, I remember one time when my sister and I were there, my parents dropped us off, for the summer. We'd be there for like 3 or 4 weeks, and he was a hunter. So he tied a deer's tail on some fishing line. And he goes, man, I found something in the basement. So I'm like 7, 8 years old. He comes running out with that thing, scared the bejeebers out of all of us. And he's sitting there laughing and just having a great time. But
that's awesome.
He was such, and he was such a great man. And I remember like when he'd come home from work, he's like, come on, John, I'm gonna take you out. We're gonna go. He'd take me fishing, and then we go to a bar. And then we stop at another bar. We stopped like 3 or 4 bars before we got home. And I mean, I'm sitting there, and everybody knew him.
I was going to say, I bet everybody knew it.
They're like, hey, Beanie. That was his nickname. And he would just sit there and he would drink like 1 beer, and then he'd get in the car and we'd drive. And I was like Shirley Temple in it every single place we got. But he was such a great man. And honest to God, I miss him so much. He would definitely be, if I could just choose one. And I'd also like to have Jessica Chastain meet my grandpa.
With your grandpa.
I think she'd really like him as well. So
I think I would have had dinner with Jimi Hendrix.
Oh man, that would be amazing.
I would love to have heard his philosophy on guitars and everything. Granted, when he passed away, he was probably not in the most coherent state, right? As far as being able to. Anyway. Because of just his life choices, put it that way. But I would still like to pick his brain about things and try to get an understanding as to where and how he saw things. And Albert Einstein too, I think, would be a really good one. Patent clerk to physicist and the whole 9 yards, and the ethics that went behind some of his stuff.
What is patent clerk?
Patent clerk?
Oh, patent clerk. What is that?
So that's somebody who works at the patent office, and they would get the patents, and they would be the ones to like file for them in the patent office as a patent clerk. So
it's not our friend Pat Clark that we all know. Folks, I know that's where John's mind was going.
Just to give you,
we all have a friend named Pat Clark, and that's what he was thinking.
No, so Ricky is so intelligent. He's only 38 years old, folks. He is like beyond smart, and I'm, of course, like I said, I'm the dumb one, which I'm totally fine with. But he's a genius too. He's a tech guru.
Negative.
Just a great guy all the way around.
But my grandpa as well.
Yeah.
My grandpa as well. Granted, we lost him, just over a year ago. But just to go back even just one more day and hear all of his stories.
Yeah.
Because he had so many. He worked in the Forest Service. And I remember when I was a kid, we'd just go walking around in the woods, and he'd be telling me what everything was. All the trees, all the animals, all the genus and species and everything, right? And we came across a tree, and he cut the branch off of it and with his pocket knife, and then he did something with the bark on this branch, where he like beat it with his knife somehow or another and got the bark to come loose from the actual branch itself and slid it off, and then whittled a notch in it, and then whittled a notch in the bark and made a whistle out of like a tree branch. Like,
he'd done that before.
Hands. I mean, And all of his resourcefulness, man. I mean, when I was growing up, if there was something I saw on TV, or if, we were at a parade, but we were at the downtown parade there in Snellville, Georgia, and I saw the like clowns, walking through, and they were real tall, and I was like, how do they do that? Because I was a kid, I didn't know how they got up there and was so tall. Well, he said, well, they have stilts. And I was like, well, what is that? And so when he
built you one?
And
he built me some stilts out of 2x4s, and he had some banding and stuff that he put over to put my feet in. And he rebuilt cars, repainted cars. He redid apartments. He was everything, man. He could do anything. Jack of all trades, a master of none. He's the one who taught me about computers and everything. And he taught me how to plumb. So I can plumb a house. If I can do some electrical, taught me how to play guitar. Like, he's the reason I'm able to play guitars.
That's surprising that your grandfather taught you about computers.
Oh yeah. Yeah. We would go to the thrift stores and go and buy like the old junk that people would like just turn in.
Do you have you take them apart?
Yeah. We would take them apart and build one good one. And he'd go to garage sales and pick up parts and stuff. And then we'd go to computer trade shows and stuff together. And, we would upgrade the computers from Windows 3.1 to 95 to 98. We would just we'd upgrade that thing as far as we possibly could, because at that point it was the processor that was the limitation for the computers. And then after we upgraded it to where it wouldn't run the latest software, we'd go buy another one.
It's because I look at my parents with a computer.
Yeah.
It's like the worst thing ever.
Yeah.
My dad friends everybody on Facebook. He's like, I don't even know that guy, but we're friends. Hey, let me friend him. And my mom, she can't even get on the computer half the time, and she loses her passwords, and it's just like, stop, Mom. You guys don't even need a computer anymore. You don't need to do that anymore.
He was still helping people with their tech problems when he passed away. They have a computer in there in the laundry room, and the internet comes in there at the office, which is the other side of the house, and he ran the cabling in the ceiling down, into the laundry room and everything to hook that computer up. He had a network termination kit in there in his office. He ran the whole cable, built his own, cable and all that kind of stuff to do it. And I don't know, he's just one of a kind, man.
That's awesome.
I'm going to amend your thing a little bit, kind of like you did when you invited Jessica Chastain with you to dinner to meet Grandpa. I'm bringing my kids with me to sit with my mom. They were 5 and 3 when she passed, and she told me that last year. We were talking one time. She goes, I know that we don't have to worry about you, and you're going to be just fine. And I would like her to see that we're okay, that the kids are thriving and doing well, and I would like my kids to know her. That's one thing. If I could, I'd bring the kids with me to that dinner.
That's awesome.
Be a special dinner.
Absolutely.
Hey, I want to throw something at you guys real quick, because I saw this today when I was getting out of the car, going to pick something up at the grocery store. And, we had talked in past episodes about social media and respect and all this other stuff. So this kid, probably, I'm going to say maybe 8 years old, and I'm walking to my car, and I don't know what was happening. The mom and the son were arguing back and forth. Mm-hmm. And I'm sitting there, just kind of like walking to my car, but it was loud enough, where like you can hear it. And they were like 2 cars from where I was. And I'm putting the stuff back, and the little kid turns and says, "Ma, shut up. I'm not doing it." Now, I granted it's 2025, okay? But in 1964, when I was born, to, I don't know, 1982, 85, whatever.
That's called a backhand.
Exactly. That's called a belt on the back of the legs. That's called a slap across the derriere.
Yeah,
I'm just like, could you imagine? I literally got in my car, and I'm just like, I had a flashback of my dad taking off his belt.
Yes, sir.
And just hit me on the behind. But then as you got older, it didn't hurt as much on your bottom. So then he'd go after the back of your thigh.
Especially when you saw that little smirk come across your face.
And then, then it was either the belt or the wooden spoon. My mom used to have this cut off wooden hand. It was like from fingers all the way up to like an elbow, and it was just wood. And it hung in the kitchen. It said "Mom's helping hand." Which meant if you got in trouble, she was grabbing that thing and just beating your behind.
That's great.
And I'm sitting there in the car for a second. I had a flashback of my dad just spanking me. And I'm like going, but you can't do that anymore.
Yeah.
You can't. It's, it's just, but the lack of respect to show your mom, to sit there and tell your mother to shut up. I mean, there's sometimes you see like the videos where it's like they're doing pranks for the kids, or they're in it with their mom, and to see the dad's reaction. And every dad you watch, they get up and like, it's a joke, it's a joke, it's a joke.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like, where did we go wrong? When did that start happening? That it's just, I mean, I almost, you kind of want to side with the parent, but I'm like going, man, if she hits him, she's in trouble.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I don't condone that. I'm just saying it's just to have that lack of respect for your parents at that point in time. Good Lord, where have we gone?
Well, I mean, I think we're in that age of social media, right? I mean, you just mentioned social media, and before there wasn't anyone around to take a video of you when you backhanded your kid when they did any of that kind of stuff, and then corporal punishment. That's been kind of the ostracized as far as psychological, with regards to raising children. It's been.
We all work at a school?
Yeah.
A little story about that.
Yeah.
At school, had this little kid come in. He was new to our school. He started there in like 4th grade. This was a few years ago. And he was in my office and he goes, "Do you guys have the Board of Education here?" I'm like, "The Board of Education? Well, what do you mean?" He's like, "Well, it's about this long. It's got a handle on it at home. And my mom swings it when I get in trouble, and she calls it the Board of Education." So he's telling me about a paddle his mom had at home that he got when things were aligned. So it hasn't totally gone away everywhere, but that totally surprised me. That little little 4th grader told me that.
When I went to high school at Center Point.
Pretty funny.
And we're talking 2000. So, I mean, I know this is, 25 years ago, but still, that's pretty recent for this right here, I think. They still paddled. Now,
really?
They did.
High school?
In high school. And I don't know if they still do or not. I think they still have the paddle hanging in the office, but I think it's more of a memorandum.
Did you ever get the paddle, Ricky?
I did not.
John, you ever get the paddle?
From my dad, I got everything: pots, pans, paddle, toaster, whatever he could grab.
Nothing from school?
Man, I got the belt like once or twice, and I was done. I was like, no, I'm good.
I take that back. I got when I was a 8th grader in upstate New York. I got a principal who grabbed me out of class with my arm. But I had a 5th grade teacher in California, and he used to throw. His name was Mr. Edwards. He used to throw a little wiffle ball at you, like a golf wiffle ball. So like if you weren't paying attention, he would just throw it at you. And back then it was like nobody said anything. He said, I mean, shoot, that's 72. Right. So it wasn't like a big deal, because you always heard stories of like the nuns, slapping their hands or whatever the case may be. And like I said, it's completely changed. But that whole respect. I mean, my dad. I can't even imagine if I would have said shut up to my mom.
No.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been good for me.
No. Not at all. Not for me. That's for dang sure.
But my mom and uncle put my grandparents through it, and I was not going to do the same thing.
Yeah.
I watched those poor people go through it, and I was like, no, I'm good.
I remember one time my little sister, she got in trouble with my mom. I can't remember exactly what happened, but she was like, my mom's like, "I'm going to go get the spoon." That was her whole thing. "I'm getting the spoon." And my sister just runs in her bedroom. And you can hear it. She closes the door and tries, like, she's pushing up against it. My mom's pushing it, "Let me in, let me in." She finally gets in, and she takes the wooden spoon, and she hits my sister on the behind. Because, when that happens, me and my sister are like, "Oh, she's getting a whipping. What's going to happen? She's going to get the spanking. Mom's going to hit her." And so all of a sudden we're sitting there, and like my sister's like backing up to the wall. My mom finally turns her over and just hits her right on the bottom. And my sister makes this noise like, "Ah," whatever. And then my mom hits her again, "Ah." We're like, wait a minute, that doesn't even sound like her. And then, and then even like the smack didn't sound right,
Oh my God.
So my mom, she was probably maybe like 6 years old then. My mom lifts up her pajamas. My sister put a book in her pants so that when my mom would hit it, it'd be like, and then it's like these terrible fake noises from a 6-year-old going, ow, oh, ow. And we're like, my sister's like, what the heck? And then when my mom found that book,
I bet she got it even
she knew never to put another book down in her pajamas, that's for sure. But I mean, I was always afraid of that, man. I never, if my mom said my name, like we were out to dinner, or not out to dinner, we were outside playing, and my mom would go, John, time to come in. Mom, 10 minutes. All right, 10 minutes. And then say, all right, I'll be right there. And you still stay out after 10 minutes. Then it's John David. Oh, I got to go. Middle name was said, I got to go, because otherwise. And then after that, my dad would be waiting at the door. Did your mother call you? Why aren't you in the house? I was cleaning up the garage, and really, the garage door's closed. I mean, you couldn't lie to my parents. You just never could. Because then, plus, it was that Catholic guilt my mom always made us feel.
Yeah.
It's just you can't. My mom's a very, very strong Catholic. My dad is a Catholic now, too. But it's just that Catholic guilt. I mean, you walk in, and my mom's she could read right through us.
Right.
Come home late at night. You're supposed to be home at 10. Troy was sick, and we had to take him to his house. An hour and a half later, Troy lived 3 houses down. He's like, you just couldn't lie. And he's like, all right, I'm grounded. Take the car. I'm fine. Whatever the case may be. So, crazy stuff as we were kids. You got another one, Scotty?
No.
That's it?
No,
that's all you got?
Kind of what I had tonight. I don't know how we got from celebrity to people we'd want to hang out with to getting paddled, but
yeah,
that's what happens here on Old and Bitter.
That's it, Old and Bitter. It just threw me for a loop. I mean, to see that. I mean, because even as teachers, you don't, I'm not, kids will go, hey, what up, bro? What up, dog? I'm like, I'm not your dog. I'm not your bro.
Nope.
Nope. And I would never ever say that to one of my teachers.
No, and I don't instill that in my kids either.
No. Did you guys ever, when you were younger, did you have to answer the phone a certain way? Could you just say hello? Because we weren't allowed to say hello. We had to say
You say hello, last name?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Hello, Anthony Residence. May I ask who's calling, please?
Yeah, we did that.
Boom. If you said hello, it's is that how you're supposed to answer the phone? No, sorry. But.
So my grandparents weren't ever strict about this is how you have to do things. They were more, they would lead by example.
Yeah, they modeled and you picked up on it.
Yeah, because I never once called my grandpa sir or yes or ma'am or no ma'am or anything, but he would call me sir even as a kid. I mean, so even as 5, 6, 7-year-old, if I asked him a question, it was yes sir, no sir, that kind of thing. And I didn't do that as a kid. And then as I grew up, I came to realize that was a sign of respect. He was just respecting me from then on. And and I say yes sir, no sir, yes ma'am, no ma'am now. It doesn't matter how old or young you are. It doesn't matter if it's a student coming in with their laptop or if it's somebody much older than I am, and it doesn't matter if it's a young lady who's 5. I don't care. I feel like we model that respect and that they pick it up. And there's a lot of folks who, you don't have to call me ma'am. It's really, I get that from a lot of women. You don't have to call me ma'am. It's not about that. It's not about your age. It's about making sure that you feel respected.
And some people think it's an act.
Yeah.
If someone's going around, we had a family a few years ago, and both boys, it was always yes sir, yes ma'am to all the teachers.
Right.
From the minute they, joined us in middle school, and people, it was kind of off-putting because that can't be real. Did they really do that at home? And that kind of thing. So, you mentioned social media being one of the reasons, Ricky. And I'll throw television in there too.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I mean, when the TV shows, even on Disney Channel and stuff.
You get The Simpsons and stuff.
I mean, what are the dads depicted as?
Yeah.
Either
dumb,
absent, idiots, whatever. Al Bundy, wherever, however old you want to go.
Yeah.
They're not pictured in the best light.
Right. Yeah. And it's sad that those things, which get the most views and get the most public attention, are now kind of adopted as public standards.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's a reason that they get the most attention. That's because they're the most outlandish and the most, ridiculous. And so now we want to adopt these things as standards for some reason.
You know, it's funny you bring up TV because if you go back 1970s, early 70s, mid 70s TV shows,
Yeah.
you watch them now, you're talking just about racist. I mean, and all these other things. It's unbelievable that was allowed. The standard for television was like that back then.
But the decade before, you had Ward Cleaver and those kind of things.
Exactly.
Right.
You had
So
like
it's
this,
like just changes.
it jumps around.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
jumps around. Yeah,
It does.
absolutely.
Andy Griffith, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, as always, thanks for listening. No, you know what? Just thanks for listening. Thanks for listening to Ricky and Scott and myself. We really appreciate it. And for Old and Bitter, we'd like to say goodnight to you all. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.